All right, so this is Afton, and you are how old?
12.
And you like monsters and zombies.
I love zombies and monsters.
You love zombies and monsters and scary stuff. What about gory stuff? Is that too much?
Same difference.
Same difference. Okay, you like it all. Aren't you supposed to like rabbits and ducks and things like that? I mean, you look like you would like that.
I do like horses, but I like monsters.
You like monsters more.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of with you. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just kind of explore you growing up and as a monster kid. And I know your folks have been supportive, but you know, they got to be, you know, responsible too, you know, and try to maneuver around, because there's real evil in the world and all this stuff. But I think sometimes the look of it and things freaks people out. You know, it's like, ooh, what's this? You know, this seems, is something wrong? You know, is this the next serial killer or something? So now I had heard from your mom that you had some concerns. Some of your teachers were concerned about some of the stuff you've written and so forth. And so tell me about that. What is it that concerned them? Is this something that they read?
Yeah, this is actually the book that she read.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember writing it, and she specifically asked me, "Can I read this?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So about 2 or 3 weeks later, she pulls me aside at lunch, and we're just sitting there eating my cup noodles.
Right.
And was I supposed to say that?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Sure, don't worry about it.
And I don't know, she comes over and touches me on the back and sits like backwards from me, like she's facing the opposite way, so people just think, like, I don't know.
Oh, so maybe they don't know she's talking to you or something.
I don't know. But she touches me on the back, and anytime you see her facing backwards with someone, you know you're about to get talking to. So she comes over to me, and she's like, "I read your book." And I thought, oh, she liked my book. And she starts like talking about it, and she starts saying like, "I'm just gonna tell your mom about what you're writing," and I did not like it at all, and that was just stark, depressing, and evil. And my friend's sitting next to me, and I was eating, and then I was drawing in my book. And my friend's sitting next to me, and you can tell she's really mad, because like we're best friends, and she writes horror stuff too. And you can tell she's like livid. So I'm thinking, just chill, like. And then she starts saying like, "I don't think you should be writing this kind of stuff." And at this point, I'm like in tears, because I don't even I don't know.
Well, listen, I've said this before, but you're basically scaring the straight. Because people that aren't into this, they don't understand it. They don't understand why you would like this. And of course, there is bad stuff in the world. I'm sure this teacher and others, they care about you, and that's why they're talking to you. But they don't get it. And that's one of the things. It looks very dark. But actually, a lot of the things that are dark don't look dark, and that's a whole other subject. But go ahead. What specifically do you think bothered her? Could you read some of that?
Yeah.
And now this is something you wrote.
Yeah, I read this.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna I don't know, pick up the
Yeah.
The moment I got there, I noticed something creepy. My childhood doll, Fifi, was sitting there just staring at me. At that moment, I knew I was being watched, so I whirled around, and right there was Fifi. "What the frick? You were sitting right there 2 seconds ago." At this point, I was wondering, if I was okay or if I was losing my mind. "Fifi," I said. it responded, "Afton, is that you? Holy crap, I didn't know that dolls could talk." "What the heck are you doing here?" Fifi asked. "Well, my TV is being stupid and flickering on and off. This monster, he's telling me to come here or else I die, so here I am." "Well, that's not what I was expecting." "May I join you?" she asked. "Why the heck not? Plus I need the company." So after that stop, me and Fifi continued on our trip.
I see. Could you put 911 on the speed dial? Okay, so then I guess she talked to your parents and was concerned about you. And how did they respond? Did they forbid you or lock you in the attic or anything?
No. My parents already knew what I was doing. Like, I actually told them what I was doing before I wrote this book. And they totally, knew. But what my teacher didn't know was that they already knew, and she thought she was getting in trouble, so.
I see.
Yeah, she actually called me evil one of the times she talked to me.
Evil?
Evil.
You?
Yeah.
You just don't look very evil to me. I don't know. Did you have an evil face, maybe, that you...
Well, she, forbid, I don't know, I said frick and crap in here, and she, every time you said heck, she would look at you sideways.
Well, I dare say what's on television is far worse, and if you watch the evening news, it's pretty evil and messed up. So we are living in a messed up world. Now, what is it that would make you want to write about demonic dolls and scary stuff over something nice about falling asleep in a field of lilies or something? What is that? What is the appeal to someone like you?
Well, it's all started in 5th grade when we got this assignment where I was supposed to write about the options were field trip that was weird, or a trip to space. And I chose the field trip, and the book was called The Messed Up Field Trip. And it's about me and my classmates. I think we were I don't know where we were going, but I think we were taking a tour of the city. And we passed this dark alley where my teacher got out to get something from the back, I think. The back of the bus. And she just disappeared. Some high school kids started screaming, "I want my mom."
I want my mommy?
Yeah.
I still scream that when things go bad, but go ahead.
And she just magically disappeared, and everyone's just sitting there I don't know, mumbling in the corner of the bus. And I was the only one who was okay guys, I don't think it's not night, it's noon. We lived in this town since we were 4, so we all know there's nothing here. But then we walked past an alley and there was a creepy old lady holding her head in her lap, rocking out.
Oh, her head was off her body.
Yeah, her head was off her body and she was holding it we were just sitting on her lap.
Okay, let's do a little test now. Frozen. Do you like Frozen?
To be completely honest, no.
Doesn't like Frozen. Okay, what about Monsters Inc.?
Okay, that's funny.
That's funny,
That's
okay.
funny, sure.
How about Evil Dead, Army of Darkness?
I don't know what that is.
Oh my, well, you're in for some fun. You guys might want to watch that and then see it. Yeah, Army of Darkness. It's horror comedy at its finest. Okay, so your Monsters Inc.'s okay. Frozen, a little too too friendly for you.
Well, it's just that I have little siblings and they want to like
all the time. You know, I've heard that.
All the time.
Just like on a loop.
Yeah.
Frozen. They get
4
frozen
hours
stuff.
a day.
Yeah, that's rough. I'm with you there, actually. But you do like flesh-eating zombies. All right. So, So you like this stuff, and your parents are letting you explore this, and you have some friends that like it, so you're able to have somebody to communicate with. Because sometimes, monster kids, they're on their own. They're alone at home reading comic books and stuff, and nobody gets it. So that's good. So how did it get resolved as far as your teacher's concerns about what you're writing and things?
She apologized at like the end of the year, and this was the beginning of the year. And she finally apologized at the end of the year. She still didn't like what I did, but she apologized.
Well, that's really good. Well, again, if she didn't give a care about you at all, she wouldn't have bothered talking to you. She wouldn't be worried about you. You can just go play in the dump. I don't care. So she obviously cares about you. And I think the problem is sometimes people just don't understand. It wasn't a part of their childhood, and you're supposed to what is it? Something and
yeah, you're supposed
something and nice and everything.
Every sugar and spice and everything.
That's right, and you're not doing that. You're not doing that. So that probably concerns some people, and so I get that. I can see where that would worry a teacher, and that part of their job is, of course, to make sure their students turn out right and get a good start in life. Now, do you have some artwork things you've done too? Can we see that?
Yeah, I have those too.
Sure. Some pictures that you can show the camera.
Okay, so I just finished this sketchbook yesterday.
Finished it?
Yes.
You mean that's full?
Yeah, it's full.
My, are you ambitious?
Not all of creepy stuff, because I got this in 4th grade, so.
So when did the creepy stuff start?
5th grade.
5th grade, okay. And was there something that triggered it? Because a lot of monster kids, they can cite the exact moment when it started. And I can't. I know what that moment was. It was 3rd grade. Somebody brought a Famous Monsters magazine to school. Do you have that moment between 4th and 5th that kind of...
Yeah, in 5th grade, towards the end of the year. Like I said, we were supposed to write an assignment. And I chose creepy. And I wrote a horror.
And so then it just locked. It was in your
yeah.
Now what's this bloody guy here?
His name's the Hunter. He has a brother, and I'm trying to find him.
Let's see. Aim it toward the camera. Aim it that way. Okay, so he looks pretty friendly. Did he have
friendly.
spaghetti? What's all that red stuff?
Blood.
Oh, blood. I see. That's nice.
He has a brother. His name's Chaos right here.
Chaos. Let him see that. Chaos. Now, he appears to have a knife in his head.
He died 3 times.
3 knives.
3 times. So he got shot in the head.
Ouch.
Stabbed in the head. And he died in a fire. That's the
Nice little flame left in his eyeball.
permanently stuck in his eyeball.
Well, it's a pretty good drawing too, right?
Thanks.
I mean, it's bloody heads with knives go.
I was grounded from TV, so I was like so bored.
That's a good thing. I got grounded for a solid month.
I was grounded
when I was a kid.
4 months.
Oh, really? 4 months without TV?
Well, okay.
It was probably the best 4 months of your life.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because this is something that I don't care whether you're into monsters or not, but you need to watch your ratio of taking entertainment in and creating. You should be, it should go back and forth. It shouldn't just be you're sitting there like a mindless zombies, even though you like mindless zombies. You should be doing things with your life in addition to watching what other people do. Now, who's this little fella you got? I believe I remember doing a custom paint job on him.
His name is Nebula.
Nebula.
It's the original Galaxy from Distortions.
Yes, I recognize him.
And when I came to tour it, you said that like I could custom make someone. So
nice.
He's black, but oh, this one is my favorite.
What do we got here?
So it's supposed to look like. So this is like the I don't know. He's a clown, obviously, and this is supposed. It's supposed to look like the crime page on a newspaper.
Right.
And then this is the, what would you call it? Not the victim.
The perpetrator.
Yeah, perpetrator. This is, his name's Sad Clown.
Sad clown, but he's smiling. He's sad he's one of those sad on the inside clowns.
Yeah, and yeah. I don't know how long, again, I drew this when I was grabbing from TV, so.
Now, what maybe this has nothing to do with monsters, but why were you grounded? Were you just watching too much TV, or were you getting a little sassy? Like
I kicked a hole in my door, actually.
I think I've done that. Yeah. I'll tell you my story real quick about stuff like that. When I was a kid, I had a go-kart, and they pulled the car in. They had like a convertible Mustang that Dad had bought for Bill and I to drive. I was a little too young at that point. I think I was 14 or something. It would have been when Outer Limits was running, which you probably haven't seen the original Outer Limits, which you should. You'd love it. But anyway, so I couldn't get it out, so I thought, I'll just prop the door open and I'll push it and it'll start running, and then I can jump in the car and put on the brakes before it hits anything. Well, that didn't go too well. The door, I couldn't get to it fast enough. The door hooked the side of the garage and bent it back like that. So Dad came home, he was not happy with me. So I was banned, besides having to pay for the repairs, which was $60 back then, which seems like nothing. That was a lot back then. And I had to pay for the repairs with lawnmower and stuff. I was banned from TV for a month. Now this was a problem because in 1963-64, Outer Limits was on, and Outer Limits, every episode had a monster, and I love this show. And so Dad had laid down the law, and he was, he'd been in World War II and things, and he was, pretty tough. And I begged my mom to please let me watch Outer Limits, and she let me. And Dad came home, and he didn't want any of that, and he was mad. And so I only remember 2 fights that my mom and Dad got in, and he was mad, and he turned on the TV, and I told you this kid wasn't watching TV, blah, blah, blah. My mom ended up on the back porch crying, which was, I remember her crying twice. Well, that's not true. She cried over our pony getting hit. But anyway, then my dad felt so bad, we ended up sitting in bed together watching Outer Limits. So it's these things happen, and in the travails of trying to raise children, and I think it just doesn't even help to have monster children because there's like this extra layer of confusion. I get it. That's why I wanted to get you on film, because this is something that's hard to deal with. It's hard for monster kids, and it's hard for their parents to try to come to terms sometimes, because some of it is like, am I being a bad parent? Is this kid going to turn out bad? And you have to promise me you're going to turn out good. No, it doesn't matter, does it? You're like, I promise you nothing. But anyway, what else? Have any of your friends kind of thought you were weird, or did any problems that way?
No, because I'm the one kid in class, you don't want to mess with.
Oh, is that right?
So, well, I still have a lot of friends, but not a lot of people think I'm weird, except my teacher. But other than that, Yeah.
And why don't they want to mess with you? Because you kick holes in doors? Is that what it is?
No, I don't know.
All right, I'm just going to ask you some questions here, and you just tell me. Let's see. So, do you like kittens?
Yes.
Do you like puppies?
Yeah.
Do you like flesh-eating zombies?
Yes.
Okay. What about a flesh-eating zombie that eats a kitten?
That's screwed up.
Yeah, that's screwed up. I'm glad you said that. All right. And what do your parents think of all this? You being a monster kid.
I don't think they really cared.
They're okay?
Yeah.
All right. Were they good with it from the start, or were they a little concerned when you started to show interest in flesh-eating zombies?
They were a little concerned.
Well, that's good.
And then once I started getting, because I started this when I was 10. Once I started getting a little bit older, they started to get used to the idea that I had a monster kid.
Now, you've got 4 or 3 other sisters.
You better not be 4.
Well, no, you're the 4th. You got 3 sisters, and are they any of them like monsters, or are they just you?
Well, okay, because I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest, okay.
And I think I try to convince them this is my thing, and I can have some things that are just my thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you have kind of a special situation in that your dad is a pastor.
Yes.
Now, that makes it a little harder on your parents. Was there any, I know you had some issues at school, but was there any issues at church? You being a little monster-loving, bloodthirsty, flesh-eating zombie kind of girl?
No, but Janine, she works here.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. We kind of were just friends from the start.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that Distortions was a thing before I met Janine. And she gave me this bow.
Oh, that's from Janine.
Yeah.
Is it a bloody bow? Is that?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. I thought those were beautiful red flowers.
It's
a butcher knife with blood.
Yeah.
That's about the coolest bow I've ever seen. I've been staring at you, and I didn't even notice because I'm not into bows normally, but I like that one.
Yeah, my friend has a lot of. There's a skull hand. It's like a beret. Anyway, Janine, I don't know, she kind of just introduced me to all this creepy stuff.
Sorry about that, folks. So Janine is partially responsible for introducing you to the world of scary. She's big into horror movies, more than me. I get a little bit oh, come on. Do we really need to see that? But she loves it all. She loves to get scared. Very interesting. Okay, so, but you haven't had anybody try to pray the demons out of you or anything at church? Nothing like that, I assume. You're okay. Yeah. So I'm guessing, I don't know your parents that well, but I'm guessing they're pretty amazing. Is this correct? Yeah. Pretty amazing parents.
Yeah.
To put up with a monster kid in the house. Yes. With monstery stuff. Okay. Let's see. And they haven't changed you to the bed, locked you in the closet, put you in the attic, none of that stuff. No. You're free to roam the house and they're okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to say about being a monster kid?
I'm very proud of it.
You're proud of it?
Yeah.
I like that. I never thought of that. I just thought, I'm just a nerd. You're proud of being a monster kid.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And for all the other monster kids out there, it may feel like there's no one else out there that likes horror, but there's a lot of people out there who like horror.
I can tell you that's not true. It's a smaller group.
Well, yeah,
it's a subcategory. But most kids like going to see Godzilla or whatever it is. They have fun. They go to the movies and stuff. So it's not like you're way out there or something, but to really get into it and do art and stuff, that's when, I had some issues. I've known a lot of people that have issues with art teachers discouraging them, and I don't know a lot of people that write. We're more into sculpting and things, but well, that's good. Well, I want to bring your parents in and get their take on it, because they've had to live with you, a little monster kid in the house. So we want to get their input. So guys, come on in. All right, you guys, introduce yourselves. You are
Justin.
Lindsey. All right. So your daughter is Darling. I'm sure you know that. So now she's saying that you guys were a little concerned at first, and then have kind of warmed up to it. But I'm thinking you may be partially responsible if you're watching Outer Limits and things. It may be in your DNA, and it might have missed the other kids and landed on her. I've seen that.
It skips a generation.
Yeah, it can. And so, what's your take on it? I mean, especially since, and you work at the church too, right?
Yeah, I do the event side.
The event side of the church, cool. And this is a super cool church. The State Armory used to be the craziest bar ever with movie props and stuff. Now it's a church. So what's your take on it as far as your experiences and other people's reactions? What do you feel like is important to say about it?
And we've all talked about this. Afton and I have had some good conversations around it, so I'm not going to say anything that I think it's going to surprise her. But at first, I was a little more concerned with, to be honest, what other people would think of the family.
Right.
She told her story about the teacher, and that just was like sticking in the back of my head, like, oh, we're going to be those people, like we got that kid, and we've had these conversations.
Yeah,
so
sure,
she's
of course.
sitting right here in the room.
Right.
But actually, my wife was more of, well, just hold on. I mean, my wife is very artistic and creative, and she, even though that's not her style of art,
right,
into that genre of horror and the writing and stuff, she just said, oh, hold on. Because if you stifle the art, if you stifle the creativity, okay, I see. She's just going to do it anyway, behind closed doors.
Yeah, under the covers or something, yes.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I kind of backed off a little bit.
Yeah, but I get that. I mean, going back to my own personal history, my dad was really, ex-military and things. He wasn't big military, but he did, when Pearl Harbor happened, next day he signed up, went off World War II. When his kid started growing long hair, and that was hard back then. That nowadays it's not such a big deal. That was really hard for him, and we had some, and but he said something that I never forgot, and I accused him. Of course, I was probably 14, 15 at the time. I started to grow my hair out, and I accused him of bending to social pressure, his social pressure. Well, you're just embarrassed of me or something like this. And he said, if anybody told me my kid needed to get a haircut, I'd see to it that you had long hair. I thought, wow, that really impressed me. And because really at the end of the day, these people that are all around us are important, but family's more important, and so that, to me, that's what makes this heartwarming, is you guys are like, especially being a pastor, because people don't understand a lot of times. They're like, this is, what's this bloody pictures and all this scary stuff, and she seems like she should be into kittens and flower arranging, and so for you guys to be able to throttle back and say, no, we'll be careful, we'll be parents, but we're not going to be, dictators. And say, you will not. And there's a lot of poor kids, they just had to comply, and I think it did stifle their creativity, because there's something that happens with monster kids where it kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
It's in their DNA, and there's an event usually. I'm not saying always, but usually there's something that their DNA recognizes. Oh, I love this, and other kids just, yeah, it's fun. I used to watch monster movies with my friend Bob Taylor, and he enjoyed them and stuff, and I was sitting there having a totally different experience. It was, I wouldn't be monsters. He was just, he's just having fun. Is there any other issues you've had to deal with having a monster kid in the family?
I mean, there's definitely things. I like to read fantasy. Now, the movie Sign scared me to death, and that's about my level of creepy that I can roll with.
Yeah.
So I don't do the creepy so much as what she likes, but that's okay. But I think over the years there's been definitely some friends who are like, I don't know, and there's been some books that I think we were kind of like, your pastor family and reading this book. I'm reading it with them. So
yeah.
Full disclosure, she doesn't read it if I haven't read it, even if it creeps me out to death.
No, that's really good. In fact, I knew a guy that he wouldn't take his kids to a movie until he watched it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's a lot of work. And I went to movies with my kids and walked out of the movie and had to apologize to them, because it's like, sorry, we should have probably left, and I did, but I'm sorry I took you to this thing, and
there's no handbook on this thing.
No, and the thing is, when you're parents, especially with young children, you're figuring this stuff out for the first time too, and I mean, there's a lot of challenges, even if you don't have a monster kid in the family. It's hard, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and so there's that. But it just adds another little layer of, she's drawing bloody zombies with knives in their head.
Right,
So.
right. And I think what my heart and my wish for her is, I know you can't protect them as parents for their entire life. But at the same time, that moment of shame that is introduced into art, I think as an adult, and I think most adults can think back to the time when somebody, a authority figure in their life, looked at their art and said, "Oh, that's fill in the blank," and that's, you didn't color in the lines, and then the moment of creativity stopped right there.
Yeah.
And then, somebody said I couldn't sing, so they're probably right. I can't sing.
No, I saw a speaker one time, motivational speaker, that went into schools, and he said in kindergarten and first grade, he'd ask, how many of you can sing? All the hands would go up. How many of you can dance? All the hands would go up. As he went up in grades, pretty soon, just very few hands, because they were humiliated or somebody criticized them, and it's not necessarily teachers. I mean, other kids. It's a sad thing, and then they stop exploring certain things. So I think that's good, because this is understandable that it would worry parents and teachers and other friends and things. But that doesn't, just because you're trying to work through this thing, it doesn't take you off the hook. You still have to be good parents. You have to make sure she's, you may ease her into, Evil Dead and things like this. So you've seen Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Have you seen Evil Dead? You will love Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It's a comedy with Bruce Campbell. It is the greatest horror comedy ever. I'm telling you. It's now, maybe you don't agree with that. To me, it's like the best mix of the two, and that would be a fun one. But then when you get into some of these, like Exorcist and stuff, man, I was 17, 18 when I saw The Exorcist. It messed me up. I mean, I walked out of there, and you see video footage from people walking out of the theater. People were traumatized. I mean, they couldn't go back in. You fainting.
You saw that.
Yeah, when I was younger, I could watch a few more scary movies now.
Yeah.
No.
We were
that thing.
We were high school sweethearts, and
yeah.
we had it was about 20 of us, and it was your friend.
It was my birthday, and we invited everybody over because I'm in October.
Yeah, and we just watched a bunch of scary movies, and Exorcist was one of them. Damien was another one. And
What was the, Shining was the one that pushed Josh over
Oh,
the edge.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, it's a lot easier to take on a TV set
Yes,
than in the theater.
sure.
It's a more encompassing experience in the theater. But nobody was ready for these things when like the chest burster scene. People were walking out of the theater during that. It was too much for them. But they weren't ready for Phantom of the Opera back in the old days when they were playing the piano to black and white. When he took his mask off, women were fainting and things. So, you know, as we grow up with television and kids see these things at a very young age, they get used to it a little more. But the generation before them, it still has quite a shock value. That's why I was impressed to find out those boots were bought by your grandmother. Is that right?
Yeah.
Show the cameras your boots. Now these are
Pick 'em up.
snake skin, neon, super tall. That's like about as cool as you can get.
Those way cooler ones though. They were black and they had monsters all over them.
Monsters?
So yellow.
Snake skin's pretty monstery, I'll tell you what. My poor parents, I don't want to go into, this isn't about my story, but my poor parents had to live with me thinking Alice Cooper was great. And I had snakes in the basement, giant snakes, like a 14-foot Burmese python. I had reticulated pythons. And they just rolled with the punches. And it was so great because, you know, and there was still that, is this good? You know, whether it's long hair or the snakes or whatever. And it's funny how things come around. You know, now I was like super nerdy about Alice Cooper, and you know, he had all this great imagery and things. But if you looked at the lyrics and stuff, not good all the time. But it turns out, you know, that he's a Christian, and he was then. He was kind of a little on the wild side doing some crazy stuff, but it was a morality thing, and so and then, you know, one day he's in my office singing to a song written called Brutal Planet was the name of our haunted house. He asked me to use it and stuff, and it's like, I think God may have been working in this thing since I was you know, it's like, how could that possibly have happened? And so yeah, I think it's important to navigate stuff like this carefully, but it's really heartwarming that you guys are working through it, irregardless of some of the potential social ramifications of you know, people not understanding that don't have those kind of kids, and or they just wouldn't tolerate it. You know, you will not, you know, turn that off. You know. So what was it that she kicked a hole in the door, and that was no TV for 4 months? Was that the whole of it?
Well, it was no TV until Mom was ready to give me TV.
But it wasn't a hole so much. It was a lot of things together.
The attitude. You know,
Yeah.
that preteen attitude's really rough on parents. I'm just telling you, I've been there. It's tough. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. And I had something I wanted to give you. I don't know if you'll like this or not. Let me get this. Hold on. We call these monster kids, and you can take your pick.
I want the werewolf.
You like the werewolf? I thought for sure you'd go for Greeley. Well, there you go.
Turn him around.
Turn around. Now you got a new. He's kind of teddy bear style, you know.
He's kind of cute, but he's creepy.
Yeah. That's the whole idea of monster kids.
So cute. I just need perfect place for him.
Yay! All right. Well, good. Well, thank you guys again. I appreciate it, and we will see what happens next. It's your child.
It's my child.
Well then.
No.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.